such strong-willed women. I work as a project manager in Technopolis Science and Technology Park, which is based in Puglia. It is a region in south of Italy. It's, let's say, Italy, it's like a boot shape. So Puglia is the hill, let's say. And the science park is fully owned by the University of Bari. And basically it deals with both incubation and acceleration services for startup and small medium enterprises in our region. But also we are really experienced with European projects, cooperation, transnational projects at European level. Also, we had some experiences in latest years with Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe. So this is basically my job, my daily job, to deal with such projects, which are also connected to the supporting services to enterprises and startups. This is a very short introduction to our topics today. The words highlighted are crucial for this first training. And so we will have first a quick overview of the Sustainable Development Goals. At midpoint, let's say on the way to the 2030, including some hints from the Sustainable Development Report 2022, especially about your origin countries. Then we will talk about how the SDG can increase awareness about the business impact on sustainable development, how the SDG compliance and the impact measurement and management tools can positively improve your business results, and how, as a consequence, how your businesses can be profitable while also safeguarding the well-being of people and the planet, and possibly have a positive influence on it. In the final part of the presentation, you will find some additional information and insights about the SDGs, the platform, the official platform, the tools and the resources that are available for you to be used in your daily job, in order to further explore this topic that, of course, you will meet again in next training too. And also to keep an eye on the team of mission-driven businesses while attending the subsequent training. So, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development has been defined as a plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity. It also seeks to strengthen universal peace and larger freedom. And the SDG are a set of 17 global goals intended to achieve a better and more sustainable future for us. To realize human rights of all, and to achieve gender equality, of course, and the empowerment of business, of women and girls. They are integrated and, among them, and balance the three dimensions of the sustainable development. In, let's say, almost 15 years, they try to stimulate strong action in the areas of critical importance for humanity and the planet. So within economic, social, and environmental point of view. The signatory of the Agenda 2030 were determined to end poverty and hunger, and to ensure that all people can fulfill their potential in dignity and equality. This is, of course, not quite simple to do. You might understand this. And this is also an ongoing process still. As you know, there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and each of them also includes specific targets to be reached. The total of the target associated to Sustainable Development Goals are 169. The goals and targets are both the results of 2 years of intensive public consultation and engagement with the civil society and other stakeholders around the world before drafting and signing the 2030 agenda. And of course, the SDG are also an international recognized standard. They are not, of course, they are not binding, but they are internationally recognized, so that once your business or public policy example align with SDG, it will be internationally recognized. It will be on the same page, let's say, and talking the same language as most of other businesses and stakeholders in the world. And that's why they are also important for you to be to establish good relationship internationally. But we will see this later on. And here is a quick video. I hope you will be able to both see and listen to it, just to present the SDG impact.
Our world is impacted by decisions that hold the power to improve or destroy our planet and our community. Decisions that have the power to leave no one behind. Decisions that are made by businesses and by investors. But how can we be more confident that the decisions we make create positive impacts and do no harm? And that our decisions are informed by the people affected? How can we improve the decisions made for today and in the future? How can we take responsibility for our actions and at the pace we need? The UNDP's SDG impact standards guide us on our journey to positive impact, providing a universal framework and management approach that shifts our focus from what gets done to how it gets done. The SDG impact standards integrate impact of the SDGs into business and investment decisions for prosperity of our communities and natural ecosystems while making a profit. Managing for impact will set us on a pathway to a sustainable and resilient economic system fit for the future. The power of decision lies in our hands. Which path will you decide to take?
Okay, so this was a quick presentation, and as you heard many times, there was the word impact, and we will talk about impact today, why it is so important. And of course, achieving the Sustainable Development Goals results is very challenging, but it's something that engages all of us, and also especially enterprises can have a role in achieving good results, meaning in improving positive impacts and also reducing negative impact of our activities. So it's not only about having positive results, but also reducing negative ones. This is an overview of the SDG you mentioned in your application forms. We already seen it in past weeks during the introductory section. And what I underline is that there are the most represented SDG are 5, so achieve gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. 8, promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. 12, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. And 13, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. So these are the most representative, let's say, but also the other ones are all of the SDG are somehow mentioned in in the total cohort of the group. And now I have a first question for you, and you can reply using the chat. At the application stage, how did you select the SDG, one or more, you are addressing in your business? So what was the your intention? What you figure out when identifying one SDG, one or more SDG? I cannot. I think I also look at the chat to see if someone is replying. So when you saw the question, which SDGs are you addressing? What was your, let's say, your intention in identifying one or more? Anyone? Yes, sure. Feel free to write also in French. Feel free to share anything. Do not. There is not a, let's say, a right answer. Is just to hear from you, to make you more engaged also in the training. Not only listening, but also sharing your contribution, your thoughts, your point of views. So we are all here to interact. I probably think that you choose one or more, or the SDG you mentioned, probably thinking, yes. The Ali climate change, our products promote eco-friendly bags instead to plastic bags. So based on your products, they say you choose based on your products. Anyone else? Zero hunger, sustainable cities and communities. Yes. But how, Hasna? Why did you choose this one? I think also in this case about your products and services. Global warming, our shoe care products are eco-friendly, as well as our reusable shoe storage bags. Each bag is made out of 32 liters Tony bottles. Climate change, we use sustainable material in our production, like hand-woven fabric and recycling of secondary garments. Yes, you can also talk if you prefer not to write. You can also raise your hands and open the mic and talk. Okay, to have an impact at the economy and at the communities in terms of environment, yes, sure. Zero hunger, yes. Yes, I'm seeing your answers in the chat, but the question is not what SDG did you choose in the application form, but it is how did you select. So I can see from some answers and from some things you are typing that it is mainly about your products and services. So you probably, I think you probably thought about your activities and then choose the one more in, or the ones more in line with it, probably. So you can also continue share your point of view if you want in the chat. I will just maybe show you something more. And it is about how many SDG are you addressing. And these are your replies in the application form. These are some data. It is in this slide, it is not specified who selected what. But what impressed me the most is that multiple SDGs were selected by the most of you. So you see someone selected 11 SDG. They are addressed by its business. Only few selected just 1 or 2 or 3 SDG. And now I don't know if you remember about your application, if you have also the questionnaire, so to check and to think about it again. But what I want to underline is that it is of course always good to be ambitious, but then there is also the risk to be dispersive, to lose the focus. And, you know, while seeking to achieve multiple results, the risk is to fail in reaching few of them. And this is valid for all your entire business activities. I think you might figure out why. Plus, identifying the SDG relating to your business is not only about finding the most in line with your activities, but to deal with the SDG, you will need first to assess the impact. You remember we listened about the impact in the official video and also in the initial part of the presentation. So you need first to assess the impact, both negative and positive, of your business. This is very, very important. Did you remember about that you choose so many SDG in your application, because most of you selected multiple ones. Also, in this case, you can write in the chat, and you can also talk if you prefer. So my suggestion, as a general suggestion, is, as I was saying, to be ambitious, but also stay focused. Because, as we mentioned before, each SDG includes multiple targets, focusing on a wide range of different situations. And here, in example, speaking about the goal 5, so achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls, we found that this goal can relate to multiple topics. So end discrimination, eliminate violence, promote policies, ensure health, undertake reforms and improve legislation. And these latter are mostly based on what government and public bodies can do. So it's not only about business or private bodies. It can also relate to use of technologies and much more. So once you think about the one SDG, you should also think about the targets included in each one of them to see which of these targets your business addressed specifically. And since we know that to deal with SDG, you will need first to assess the impact, both negative and positive, of your business. Today, we will try to focus on how to build this process of impact assessment. We will see it very in general, because there are too many tools for this, and you will build in your activity, in your daily activity, the most suitable for you. Also with other trainers, of course, during these 2 months of participation and program. I see there is also someone else in the chat. Our company also addresses decent work and economic growth in South Africa. Small businesses contribute the most to our GDP. Yes, yes. But this is also real for Italy, actually, that SMEs are the most contributing enterprises to the GDP. Yes, it is quite similar also in Italy. Anastra, con Moros Moringa promoted ecological, social and economic sustainability while highlighting the natural benefits of Moringa. For example, we work with local producers, thus reducing poverty, while our programs combat malnutrition and so on. Yes, so there are so many, sorry. Yes, multiple point of view for your enterprises, products and services. They can, of course, address different SDGs or different targets. It depends also from the concrete impact you can measure in this process. But also, let's have a look to the general progressing of the SDG achievement. Here we have another question, and there is also 1 minute for this question. So I think that okay, yes. The timer is the clock up on the left. You see it's turning. So just to keep an eye on our time today. So are you aware of how is progressing the SDG achievement in general. You can here also share your views about the specific SDG. I mean, in example, you know that it's fast or good progressing to achieve the SDG 4. It is about inclusive quality of education and lifelong opportunities for all. You can also refer to specific data you read or to your perception from news, from your interaction with partners or colleagues, and so on. And of course, here you can see also the general overview of the SDGs to ease your thinking. Meanwhile, there is also a contribution from Chiara, I think, in the chat. She said, she wrote, I think what is important to also keep in mind is also to be able to show how we do concretely contribute to the SDGs and the specific targets. How do we measure our contribution to them? Yes, sure. When speaking with investors and donors, they also ask us to measure the impact we promise towards SDG achievement. Yes, sure. Because as I was saying in the beginning, the SDG framework is not a binding one, but this is internationally known, internationally recognized, so that it can help you to clearly explain how your business is performing according to this framework. So there are no answers to this question, but maybe the second one. And in your country, so how are you aware how is progressing the SDG achievement in your country? Same question, but more specific and related to your daily perception and to your daily environment. Do you think that your country is performing well, but also your colleagues, the other entrepreneurs in your country, are they achieving good results? Are they progressing? Are they having positive impact, or at least reducing the negative impacts? Yes, in Italy, I think we are lagging behind, unfortunately. I also think so, at least about some SDGs. Now I don't remember the official ranking in the latest report, the 2022 report for Italy. Do you have any idea about your country? I've seen before in Comoros, Kenya, Nigeria. Yes, the COVID issue and the globalization has made the situation worse in terms of poverty, sure, unfortunately. In South Africa, what is your perception? Also, if you, of course, maybe you do not have official data or something like this, but what is your perception? You mentioned that you started your enterprises mostly to have a positive impact. I mean, beyond the SDG framework and so on, what pushed you to start your business was to improve the well-being of you as women, of your family, to have also more profit, more money working for your daily life, but also to contribute to the well-being of your communities, local communities. So somehow, I think your perception was that something was needed to improve. Yes, there are other contributions. from Danielle. Here in Kenya, there are definitely many challenges still with poverty, hunger, and climate change. And Hamdi, I have friends who are running initiative, and I can maybe have a meeting with them and we can see where we are as a country. So I don't know how to exactly measure it. Yes, it's a good idea, a very good idea to have discussion, to have discussion with your colleagues, your communities, to understand where you are as a country, but also as local community, as regions, as cities. This also contribute, you know, to increase the awareness of people around you about the SDGs and what is behind the SDGs. I mean, about hunger, poverty, good health and well-being, climate change, but also reduction of inequalities. So it's good to have discussion and to share point of views with the others to increase the awareness. The gender situation also need to be support for a gender equality, but in a direction of an entrepreneurship another way than the way men are doing. Yes, so you mean a different performing of entrepreneur activities led by women, sure. Okay, so while you share, yes, different performing and method, right? It will be very interesting to discuss about the different performing and method of entrepreneurship between women and men. I think that also if we are all women here, except for Joao listening to us for the big program. Yes, maybe. Okay, left. So okay, we can talk bad about men freely. But yes, it will be very good, very nice. I don't know if you will have something about this in the program later on, but it's good idea maybe for some some other session or you know to discuss about this. Okay, while you share your other point of view, data, anything you want, I will unfortunately tell you that, as you probably imagine, officially the world is no longer making progress on the UN SDGs. And this is one of the key findings of the Sustainable Development Report 2022. Because unfortunately, multiple and simultaneous crises, including the pandemic, the geopolitical tension, you know, the war and so on, the wars all over the world, and the climate crisis halted progress on the SDGs globally. And while the SDGs are oriented towards 2030 and also the Paris Climate Agreement towards 2050, achieving this objective requires a major shift in public policies and government operations now, because we are at the midpoint on this way. And however, policy efforts and commitments for SDG vary greatly across countries. And now I will show you some data about your countries. I hope I included all of your countries. Otherwise, let me know. These are the latest analysis from the Sustainable Development Report 2022. The next one, the 2023 one, will be discussed and presented in September. There will be the yearly meeting about discussing about the SDG progressing. And the major findings globally are first that governments integrate the SDG into official speeches and data systems more than they integrate into hard public management tools such as budget. You know, sometimes they are always speaking about SDGs and how can improve the situation and so on, but most of time it's only about words. In example, few countries have also used the SDG explicitly as a cornerstone for the COVID recovery after the pandemic emergency. And these are also other countries. Second findings is that while 84% of the countries surveyed have a designated lead unit for SDG coordination at the central or federal level of government, less than 1/3 have located this unit at the center of the government. In many cases, this may not always be conducive to a work of government and integrated approach to the implementation of the SDGs. And third, there are persisting sectoral policy gaps. For instance, while many countries have made bold commitments to achieve net zero emissions by mid-century or a bit later, many continue to allocate unconditional fossil fuel subsidy and show insufficient climate ambitions in their climate policy at public level. This is also valid about access to basic education, health, and gender equality, because many countries have not integrated this target into public policies and regulations. Here, in these cases, here we are Nigeria, Rwanda, Somalia. In this slide are the average performance of your origin countries and also by SDG. You see in the graphic, the round graphic. Apparently, most of the countries, of your countries, focused on SDG 12 and 13 about climate action and responsible consumption and production. Nevertheless, they still rank in the final part of the ranking list. And from what I perceived from your answers in the chat, this is probably the problem, one of the key findings we mentioned before, so that they, let's say, talk a lot about this, but then effective and concrete policies are still missing. And unfortunately, data for Comoros were not available in the report, but we can see that yes, the best performance is for South Africa. And it should be also noted that the SDG 5, so achieve gender equality and empowerment for all women and girls, and SDG 8, promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. These two, that are both also some of those you mentioned the most in your application. These two are those needing more efforts to be achieved in your country. You see, they have lower data, just to have again a quick overview. So this means that you have the chance to contribute in improving this general situation. You have a big chance. And because, yes, the good news is that you can have impact. Even one person or one business, one entrepreneur can make a difference in this situation, meaning that you can have concrete positive impact on achievement of SDG in your territories and communities. And not only positive impact, I always remember this, but also reducing the negative ones, reducing the negative impact. We will see what is the difference, because you may think that it's quite similar. Okay, back. Are okay the slides? Chiara? Yeah, okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, but let's think about the impact. How should we define it? As I already said, every business has both positive and negative impacts on people and the planet, and yet most of those impacts are not measured nor managed. How lucky are you to have the impact you envision if you aren't measuring and managing it? You know, it's quite difficult. This concept of impact, knowing your impact, is concretely linked also to the concept of the mission-driven business, since in the framework of mission-driven business, your mission is not about selling a product, you know, but it is about the purpose of your organization. Defining your mission will help you to reduce negative impacts and to improve positive impact of your business. So, when we think about mission-driven business, we have to consider that the mission is not the business goal. So, in example, to be the #1 software house in the world is not a mission. It is a business goal. It is okay, of course, but it is something different. Because your mission is not something that you can reach and be done. It is the purpose that drives what things you do. And in this situation, your current product or service is just one execution of the mission. What you build today might not be what you build tomorrow, and this is okay, because product, technologies, and behaviors, environment around you are constantly changing. So you need to adapt. You need to adapt your products and services to the changing environment. But in this framework, your mission won't change unless you decide for a different kind of business, of course. This is an example of mission statement. It is about Google. And so we can see that their mission, so their purpose, is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. You see, it is the purpose of the company and not their business goal. If also, it should be noted that if written precisely, you can simply turn the mission statement into a question. In example, does Google or does this business help to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful? So the answer should be yes, of course. And your mission, as Google one in this case, should relate on what positive impact you want to reach and what negative impact you contribute to reduce. Another example is about Freedom. This is their mission statement. Freedom is the first platform in the world that allows individuals and companies to plant trees online and follow the story of the project they will create, financing and supporting small agroforestry projects in collaboration with NGOs, local cooperative and farming communities in many countries around the world. I don't know if you ever visited their website, if you ever heard about them, or maybe use the platform to contribute to trees planting. And after being planted, each tree is geolocated and photographed individually, allowing users to view their own tree and receive updated photos from the project. They are part of it. So what is their mission statement? Freedom wants to allow everyone to contribute to the well-being of the planet in a simple, transparent, and fun way. Also, in this case, this mission statement can be turned into a question. One more example is about TED. TED is a platform, also in this case, you probably know it. There are a lot of speeches on the platform about a wide range of topics, and there are also a lot of local events in regions and cities across the world called TEDx event. This organization began in the 80s as an initial conference where technology, entertainment, and design converged. You see, these are the three topics are formed the acronym. So technology, entertainment, and design. But today it spans a multitude of worldwide communities and initiatives, exploring everything from science and business to education, arts, and global issues. And then, in addition to the hundreds of TED Talks curated from annual conferences and published on TED.com, the non-profit company also produces original podcasts, a short video series, and much more. So, all products related to these missions. More products and more services than initially expected and initially foreseen, because, as I was saying before, products and services may change, may evolve, but the mission will stay the same. So spread ideas, foster community, and create impact. And here is again a question for you. Do you have a mission statement for your business? Maybe in your pitch desk, or in your brochure, website, I don't know, in your letterhead, in your business tickets, you know. Do you have it? And also you can share the mission statement if you have it. You can share with us. Also in this case, you can use French, you can speak, you can write in the chat as you prefer. I'm also curious to know if you already knew TED or Freedom also. I think Google we all know globally. Initially, you shared some, when presenting yourself and your businesses, you already shared some that we can consider such a mission statement, let's say. So I want to improve my community, to maybe to produce healthier food. But did you also use these sentences as mission statement when presenting your company to possible clients, to partners, to investors? This is about to understand if you have full awareness of your mission statement and how to use it to present your business. Yes, Asna, my mission statement for my business is to make an agriculture product accessible to all Comorian people as a right, not as a luxury. Okay. And did you use this mission statement when presenting your company? No, okay, so you should. My mission statement is to provide you with highest quality of printing, services and products in a timely fashion and at competitive price. This is most about the products and the services. So it's not totally focused on the purpose. I know that it can appear somehow difficult, but it should be something more related to the general purpose of the business. Everybody must have the right to eat, health, and decide to or not, but all at least to have access. Yes. Provide high quality sugar service sustainably. My mission is to give agricultural and natural fertilizers to produce bio. This is again about the products. So maybe it should be about promoting natural agriculture and reducing impact on the land, something like this. Our mission is to promote health and well-being by providing high-quality moringa-based natural products while supporting sustainable development in local community and preserving the environment. Yes, this is something that you also shared before. I also have here some other question to support you while figuring your mission statement out. So basically, what is the purpose of your business? What is the value behind it? And also, can you turn the mission statement into a question? This is something also that it can be helpful. Okay, I see that a lot of inputs are coming in the chat. I think that this will also be helpful probably for next training and probably also for Danielle later on to help you refining all these contributions so that you can find the most correct mission statement for your business. Also considering that it should be different from the value and from the products. Okay, thank you to all those who are contributing. Please continue contributing because I think this can help you in the next training and also in the next activities. We will have a final look also later on. But we have a lot of things to look at. And okay, so let's identify your business impacts because we are always mentioning the impacts, but let's start with something concrete. So why impacts? Although the SDGs are not binding, as I was saying, they were adopted as a universal call to action, and they are globally recognized standards. So acting in line with SDG and building your impact on them will allow you to speak a common language with multiple stakeholders locally. In this framework, defining and knowing your impacts, both positive and negative, is very important for two purposes. So internal purposes meaning successful management and performance monitoring within your business. And this will lead you, hopefully, to more profit and to business growth. And then for external purposes, so most effective communication with other enterprises, with investors, with clients. And this will lead you to capital and funding access, and also to international market approach. In fact, here you can see another graphic. It's a sort of representation of the capital chain for sustainable development. So enterprises like you are managing positive and negative impacts on customers, beneficiaries, and other stakeholders, while investors support enterprises with capital and expertise to accelerate your work while managing their own set of stakeholders. So basically, the investment capital flow down this chain, and the information about positive and negative impacts flows up the chain. How information flows up and down this capital chain is a major consideration in managing for improved impact on sustainable development. So basically, if you want to credibly show how you are contributing to sustainable development and the achievement of the SDG, you need to articulate your goals and take some specific actions. And this is what it is called impact management for sustainable development. Once you are aware of your impact and you are able to transfer information about it to possible investors, then you will have more chance to get capital, to get investment for your enterprise. This is a continual process, because you know you will probably receive a first round of finance, first round of funding, and then you will be asked for your results, so your impacts too. And then you will probably achieve a new funding. You will receive more money for grow again. So this is a continuously process. Of course, if you have any questions, also you can also interrupt me or write me in the chat. Or sometimes I have a look at the chat, or Chiara and Daniel will stop me. And let's come back to the impact identification. So, how do you know your business is having the impact you intended? You can't know you are having impact if you haven't defined what you care about. So the 5 dimensions of impact are building blocks to help you define your goals, and then later they help you measure and manage your impact more easily. The first dimension of impact is about what? What are the outcomes of your investment? What you are trying to do? Then who experiences the outcome? Either a certain group of people or widest communities. For who you define the key characteristic of the group you are trying to impact. How much refers to the measurable change happening due to our business or intervention, and it is also strictly related to consider what we had with our business, especially relative to what might have happened without us. Then what evidence of contribution there could be of this kind of contribution to what we add to the community. And then for the risk, you will have to ask, what are the ways your outcome could turn out differently or worse than you expect? So what are the risks in your business activities? There are many different kinds of risks, of course. Some of them might be out of our control, like an example, a pandemic emergency or global recession crisis. And we often think about financial risks, but also impact risks should be carefully considered, meaning that my business risk not to have the impact that I targeted. And finally, do you remember about the mission previously? So regularly check and adapt to the context evolvement, meaning that what you are working on today, your product and services today, might not be what you will produce tomorrow. And this is okay, because product, services, and technologies always change. So your mission won't change unless you decide to completely change your business. But then, even if your mission doesn't change, you can be forced or pushed to adapt your products and services. Okay, so what you are trying to do. The key questions to define what you are trying to do can be this one. What specific outcome do you expect? Are you targeting a positive or negative change in that outcome? It is actually the change in outcome that we call impact. How important is that outcome to the people experiencing it, or to the entire planet, to wider communities, of course? And then about the who. Which group will experience most important impact from my activities, both directly and indirectly? This is not only about your customers, but about all the stakeholders in your value chain. So positive and negative impacts can happen and be adjusted all along the entire value chain of your business. In example, in your suppliers, your workers and employees experience, investors, distributors, partners, and so on. And you may also need different engagement plans to engage all of them in your business value chain. Then you should have to prioritize what SDGs are the most relevant to your stakeholders. To prioritize issues by incorporating priorities for all stakeholders, each enterprise have to make smart decisions about which negative and positive impact should be actively managed. The most common tool, also the official tool for this prioritization, is called a materiality map, and it is the one on the right side of the screen. The common format for a materiality map is an x-axis showing financial materiality and y-axis showing stakeholder materiality. So stakeholder materiality defines material impact, SDG or other impact that are significant to the stakeholders experiencing them and that are caused by the enterprise direct or indirectly. While financial materiality relates to the material impact having significant influence on the financial performance of the business. So for stakeholder materiality, you can consider enterprise direct activities or in the supply of our chain, or that are otherwise relevant to the entity, organizational, and sustainable development context. You can see there are some example here. So customers, workers, environment, partners, local community, and suppliers. And for financial materiality, owners and investors. Also in this case, you should consider both positive and negative impact that are significant for these stakeholders because they are experiencing or likely to experience them. In example, did you consider possible impact of your business on your employees? Or on your supplier? Meaning, I don't know, working hours and salaries and logistics in the supply chain. So how to ship your products, or how to receive the raw materials that are needed for these products. No, sorry, the connection is not so good. Did you also make plans to manage this kind of impacts? So an example, the supply chain. Anyone? You did or not? It's not, also in this case, we are not here to, of course, to get the right answers or to judge you. It's just to support you in reflecting on something different. Or maybe you already considered and take plans also for this, which of course it is very interesting to know and also to share with your colleagues in the classroom. Okay, I see from Chiara that many applications mention that you plan to involve local communities to get raw materials. Okay, so in the faster and easier way, or to involve in the supply chain. So, I mean, having raw materials in the local community, of course, reduce the impact, you know, of transportation of raw materials from other countries. This is also something that, also in this case, contribute somehow indirectly to the SDG achievement, reducing the pollution given to transportation of raw materials. Any other contribution, or I don't know if also other of you have problem in web connection? Using the chat or hearing me, I don't know. I don't know, but just because I would like to hear also from you something. My strategy is to produce at least 60% of my so you produce at least 60% of your raw material, let's say, before transforming. Did I correctly understand, Asna? Okay. Okay, that's the strategy. Thanks. But you choose this strategy because it was more ethical and also more economic, or maybe it's also more expensive, but it is for you, it is part of your strategy for the environment safety and local community promotion, because it can be also maybe more expensive, but in line with your ethical purposes. More economic, I think, in terms of environment. So good. It seems the best choice under both point of view. And to be able to control the quality, yes, this is also very important. So you see, sometimes it is not always like this, and sometimes you can think it's not the most profitable choice, but it may be. So that you can save money and you can, of course, achieve your ethical purpose at the same time, and also safeguard the environment in some way. And just to have an idea, did you already hear about this kind of prioritization map I'm showing you today, this kind of official SDG tools, or not? Or maybe do you have something similar already used in your business? Because it may happen that you have your internal scheme that can achieve probably the same results. I just follow my vision. Yes. And it is successful, I think. from what I can read in the chat, your vision, it is successful until now. So congratulations to you, very good job done. I hope this path will also help you to gain more, technical maybe competencies that will support your good approach to the business. Okay, so let's continue, because I think we have only probably 15 minutes left or something like this. And this is probably the most complex part of the presentation. So this is about the impact thesis. An impact thesis is an outcome-based hypothesis of how the enterprise expects to contribute positively to sustainable development and achieving each SDG outcome. An impact thesis is a sort of if-then statement. If we do something, we expect that something different will change. The framework primary value is in distinguishing output from outcomes and impact. You can read here in this picture. The inputs, of course, are the resources that are deployed in services of set of activities. of course, financial, human, physical, intellectual resources, and so on. The activities are undertaken in support of business and impact objective. But then the most important things to define and to think about are first the outputs. So outputs are things that you can count, and often they overlap with business metrics because you can count them yourself. So an example, number of customers, number of solar panels installed, percent of repeat customers. These are all examples of outputs. Then you have outcome, that are the changes in the target population that follow from your activities. It could be an increase in literacy, a decrease in disease, an increase in health nutrition, and so on. This is something important, that outcomes are always expressed as an increase or decrease. And all SDG targets are expressed as outcome indicators, you know, indicators of a change in the present situation. In the final part of the graphics are the impacts that includes effect that can be attributed to or caused by the enterprise activities that wouldn't have happened in a world without those activities. So for the purpose of the impact thesis, impact is a change in an outcome that can be attributed to the enterprise, either partially or wholly, either directly or indirectly. And just to make the things easier to understand, here is an example about the water purification tablets, and the source is from the sdgcompass.org. And this is how a company used the theory of change framework, so this table, to define their impact thesis related to sales of its products that are water purification tablets. So this thesis traces the use of the water tablet to reduce incidence of waterborne disease, which relates to SDG 3. So you see there are inputs, activities, water purification tablet sales. Then the outputs are the tablets sold. And demographic information regarding customers buying the tablets. And the outcome example is the purified water consumed, percentage of the total water consumed. So this should be a numeric value. And then the impact is reduced incidence of waterborne disease, a reduction versus pre-sales. You see, here we have, it is of course a positive impact, but it's about reducing a negative situation. Okay, so once you defined your SDGs outcomes and impacts for your business, then you have to manage the process to reach them. After completing the process that we have very quickly seen today, you will realize that there are many potential outcomes and impacts that an enterprise can have on communities, on customers, also, as I was saying before, on their workers, their partners, and so on. No enterprises can do everything, remember about this. So be ambitious, but stay focused, so that you have to choose to make smart decisions about which negative and positive impacts should be actively managed. You see, there are sort of gold medal, let's say. Once you know that you can have more impacts, then you have to choose the most important for you, also the most achievable one for your kind of business. And then you have to act to effectively reach them. The impact management and measurement tools also define 3 levels of impact goals. You can see on the left side. So starting from the initial, the lower one, it is not classified yet, actually, but it is mentioned as does or may cause harm. This is for impacts that the enterprise may not know, may actually not measure completely. Then you can have an impact that avoid to harm, so at A level, B, benefit stakeholders, and C, contribute to solutions. To correctly decide the impact level goal of the outcomes you prioritize, you should also first know the concept of threshold. You see, it's the purple line. A threshold is a societal norm or ecological level deemed good enough. The threshold gives important context to an enterprise goals and performance to assess if they are contributing to sustainable development. This means that when you manage an impact that is acting to avoid harm, you may find that your impact starting point is, and of course also the ending point, are behind the threshold. This is not an unsuccessful management and unsuccessful results, because you are in any case increasing the situation. So you are achieving, you are nearest to the threshold, and probably you could again later on, or someone else could also move this situation to the next level, so to benefit to stakeholders. This is what I was called before, reducing the negative impact. And so for each outcome, the enterprise will actively manage. You will have to set a goal level, so A, B, or C. This will help you internally to articulate the kind of change you are aiming for, and will also help you to communicate externally with investors who are targeting certain goals. You remember before we talked about the value chain for the information. So you are asked to provide to your investors information about your positive and negative impact. So what are the results you are pursuing and achieving, of course. While this situation increases, while you obtain positive results, then you will also stay in the let's say in the positive view of your investors, and you will probably receive more support from them. About the goal level you can manage, be realistic. Again, be realistic, because there is also important to move. It is also successful to move the situation from does or may cause harm to the A situation Act to avoid harm. So you are, in any case, reducing a negative impact, although you are not acting to reach the highest level that contribute to solution. But it is, in any case, important. Your intervention, it is successful in any case under this point of view. And let's say that's it for today. I know maybe much of information, but here you have a lot of tools to explore further the SDG topics during the next weeks or whenever you want. There are links to some tools and resources from the official platforms. Also for the sustainable development goals, the agenda, yes, and also for the 9th session of the Africa Regional Forum on Sustainable Development, which was held a couple of months ago, so in the beginning of March, end of February, beginning of March. I think this can also be interesting for you because it relates to your countries, to your areas. Maybe it can be interesting for you to have a look if you already, if you didn't already participate or read something about it. And then plus the final link is about the Go Goals game. And you know, we need younger generation to be key players for a brighter future. So the purpose of this board game is to increase awareness of children aged 8 to 10. It is designed to be fun and to be engaging, but also to inform children while motivating them to actively pursue the SDGs. I discovered it while preparing this training today, and I thought it was some nice tool also for you to share, to play with your children or with your friends having children and within your community. So because you know it's not enough early to learn about these topics and to think how to contribute to them. And finally, the overview of the Sustainable Development Goals table with a wider description, let's say, of each goal beyond the general table we have seen before, the traditional one you can find in brochure and in training material. And that's it. Here you will find also my contact details. If you want, it will be a pleasure to stay in contact with you. You can send me an email if you have any doubt, anything any information you may need, or if you will make a travel in Italy or in Puglia, let me know. And of course, also the LinkedIn profile. So thank you. If there are any questions, I don't know, we still have time, of course. I will stop sharing now, so that maybe, okay.
Thanks so much, Anna. Ladies, if you have any questions for Anna or comments about the session, feel free to pop them into the chat. We still have about 10 minutes or so before the session comes to a close. So indeed, if you want to ask any insights of Anna, if you have anything that you're curious about, or even anything to share, we'd love to hear from you. Lots of thank yous. Insightful session.
Thank you to you for your contribution, the things that you shared, your thoughts, your participation in the chat, of course. I'm happy that you find it helpful and interesting. And you will see that it's so much more to explore about the SDGs and also the tools.
Okay, so if there are no questions, then Chiara, let's move on just to the final section of today so we can wrap up. So ladies, hang tight for just a minute. We have a few logistic things to share with you before you go. Oh, and Chiara shares, I think this topic might look a bit vague and theoretical, but the values and mission can push your business further. Yeah, and it's also very insightful to think about the SDGs. Like for those of you, for example, who have said that your SDG is related to climate change. If that's the case, if the output that you're trying to have in your business is to have some positive impact on either climate mitigation or climate adaptation strategies, yet your supply chain is negatively impacting towards climate change, then you might need to look at your supply chain again and think about where you're getting materials from or things like that. If you're looking at empowering people as part of your SDGs and yet you don't have fair work practices and you're not paying a living wage and you're not allowing for your employees to have a great work-life balance, then how are you actually maybe negatively impacting the SDGs? So it's really insightful to think about your business holistically and thinking about each of the different touch points of your business and how they're positively, negatively, or neutrally contributing towards your greater sustainable development goals. Okay, so what comes next? Let's go to the next slide, Chiara. So today was training number 1. Next week on Tuesday at the same time, we're going to move on to training number 2. So Chiara, go to the next slide because it talks about the topic a bit, right? Oh, it's here. Sorry, team management. Sorry, I didn't see this, the writing at the top. So next week in training number 2, we're going to be talking about team management and partnership development. So this is really great as you grow your businesses to really understand how do you get the most out of your team? How do you make sure that you are putting people in the right sort of roles and getting and effectively running your business, but also indeed, how do you develop partners? Partners are across all levels of your organization. They could be your suppliers, they could be your investors, they could be your governments or NGOs in your country that maybe you're receiving funding from. So this is going to be a really insightful conversation that takes place next week. And to help you prepare for that, we would like you to think further about the information that we talked about today. So for training number 3, we want you to think deeper about your own mission. Many of you shared that you don't yet have a mission statement, or maybe that your mission statement is quite basic and needs a bit of a revamp. So your homework from this session is really to think about your mission. What are the values that you stand for within your organization? What are the goals that you're trying to achieve in your organization? And what sort of impact is it that you genuinely want to make? And that's going to carry into training number 3. But for next week, for training number 2, we want you to start to consider your stakeholders. So your stakeholders are both internal to your organization, but also external to your organization. So they can be your team, they can be your governments, your organizations that you partner with, your investors, your clients, and your customers. All of these people can be considered stakeholders. So in preparation for next week, we'd really like you to reflect on who your stakeholders are. You know, spend some time thinking about that, all of the different touch points that you're having within your business, because once you can identify who your stakeholders are, you can better identify how to manage them, right? Some stakeholders will need to have lots and lots of interaction with you on a regular basis in order for them to feel satisfied. Others might just want to know what you're up to every quarter and you give them a little bit of an update. But by being clear about who your stakeholders are, you can then develop a management strategy, which we'll talk about in next week's training. Okay. And then don't forget, Chiara has sent an email with all of these details, but we just want to remind you to join the WhatsApp group if you haven't already. This is a place for you all to connect with one another, but it's also where we send reminders out. So we say, hey, by the way, training is starting in 1 hour. So join the WhatsApp group. We would like for that to be a community that you partake in, that you get to know each other in. There's also the YE community platform, and that's where you'll find all of the recordings, all of the slides, all of the resources that we share. So the links are here. You do need to sign up and get a registration ID and password, but once you do that, you'll have access to everything forever. So you want to make sure that you're going in there, especially those of you who are in areas where you're experiencing signal problems. I know that in South Africa, you guys have load shedding literally every single day. So Melo, that's a place for you to get access to the recordings. But if you are also struggling maybe to follow along sometimes because maybe we're going too fast, or maybe you need just more time to listen, you can always watch things on repeat. Okay. And then finally, please tell us about your opinions about all of the sessions. There's this Google form, this Office form link that is here at the bottom. It will take literally just a couple of minutes of your time, but it really helps us when we are designing the sessions, when we're running future iterations of this program, to make sure that your opinion matters. Your opinion really matters to us. We would love to hear what your thoughts are. So do go to that form and share what you have to say about last week's session and also today's session. All right, so I think that's everything from us today. Yeah, so Chiara, can you just drop those links into the chat directly? Thanks, Salma, for asking that. Any other questions, comments, feedback, concerns before we go? And then Chiara, I think also if we can drop these into the WhatsApp group so that people have them, that would be helpful also. All right, Hamdi, all good. Salma, you're welcome. All right, ladies, well, without further ado then, thank you so much for your participation today. Thank you for your attention, for your contributions. As the weeks go on, we really encourage you to share as much as you can. I know it can be difficult sometimes to type in the chat and listen simultaneously, but the more interactive that you can be, the more that you'll also get out of this. So we really look forward to seeing you again next week. Same time, same place, and different topic, different trainer. Anna, thank you once again for your contribution today, for all of your expertise and your insights. And ladies, if you do have questions for Anna, please reach out to her directly. She'd be happy to continue the conversations offline.
Thank you. Thank you to you.
All right. See you all next week. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.